Howdy folks, and welcome to Mainly Acres Farms. I am Harrison, and in tonight's video I'm going to show you guys how to make a cool custom mask. So here's a project that I've been working on for the last couple days. What this is, it's a simple masquerade style type mask form that I'm building off of to make a really cool kind of a ceremonial Viking mask, if you will. Now I know this isn't going to be historically correct. I know that the Vikings didn't use any antlers or horns on their masks or helmets, but I thought it was an extra cool kind of touch to add with it. So here's some of the things that you're going to need to make one of these masks. The first thing you're going to need is a mold. Now you can either buy a pre-made mold off the internet, or you can make yourself a custom mold of your face, so that way the mask is real nice form fitting to you, and it adds your facial features to the mask as well. That's what I went ahead and did. I made a custom little mold of my face, and it was real simple to do. I just took some sheets of aluminum foil, kind of pressed them into my facial features on my face, removed the mold, and then I poured some drywall mud inside of that, so it was like sitting like this, like a taco. I'd pour some of that in there and work it up all in through the mask and allowed that to dry. Then thereafter I put some liquid nails down in here to help give it that extra strength and support. So after you get your mold, the next thing you're going to want to do is create your mask base by making it with some paper mache. Now there's a bunch of different recipes out there for making your own paper mache paste. I went with the flour and water paste mixture, but I beefed mine up a bit and added 2 heaping tablespoons of this Elmer's wood glue. So after you created your paste, it's time to get to paper macheing, and that's real fun. You can get the little ones involved, and it's just a fun thing to do and make, you know, cool designs and crafts out of those. So I'm not going to really go into detail of doing paper mache. There's a lot of great YouTubers out there that go over how to make your mix and how to lay it on and do all that. The one thing I will say is to make sure that you do at least 4 layers of the paper mache on your mask, so it will allow your mask to be nice and rigid and strong. The next thing to do after your paper mache is dried is to reinforce the top, and that's really important if you guys are going to go with mounting some antlers or some horns to your mask, because I'm afraid that just the 4 layers of the paper mache wouldn't hold up to holding the weight of these antlers on the mask. Another thing I was afraid of is where the paper mache hardened with the wood glue, I didn't want it cracking because of the antlers maybe moving around and whatnot. So I went ahead and decided to reinforce the whole top of the mask with fiberglass. And the product that I used to accomplish this up here is Bondo. Now I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with this Bondo product. It's a 2-part kind of like epoxy mix, and it comes with like a curing tube of liquid to put in there. And so what you do is you just pull this out of the can, mix you up. It suggests using like golf ball size amounts of the mix when you're doing it, and I would suggest doing that as well, because this stuff does harden and cure pretty quickly. So another thing that I wanted to talk about real quick is don't get this confused with the body filler type Bondo, because that's not fiberglass. You want to make sure that it says fiberglass on it, because the body filler stuff will definitely not work for the application we're going to use it for. The next thing you're going to need is some of this drywall mesh tape, and what we're going to do with this is we're going to take our paper mache mask mold and we're going to layer this mesh tape on the upper part of the mask that we plan on reinforcing with the fiberglass. I would recommend going with about 4 layers of this mesh tape up here, so that way it really gives a nice deep pockets and squares for that fiberglass mix to press into. So after you've put the mesh tape on there, mix up your Bondo, and using like a putty knife, spread it into the mesh tape all around the upper part. And I did that with 2 different layers. So I did a first initial layer with the 4 ply mesh, and then once I let that dry and cure up, I did the second layer using 4 layers of the mesh again. Now, on the last coat of fiberglass that goes on, if you're going to put antlers or horns into it, at that time, before it's cured, go ahead and take your horns and antlers and kind of push it in to the fiberglass, so that way you'll have a nice little mounting hole to mount your antler or horn into it. Another thing that I wanted to talk about during the whole fiberglassing process is you're going to notice that you'll develop an arch in the upper part here, and there'll be like a hollow spot in between where the paper mache mask is and the fiberglass. Now, you can fill that in with fiberglass, but that's going to add more weight to your mask. What I did instead was just squirt some Gorilla Glue throughout there and let it expand and rise up and kind of fill in those areas. And it also helps bond the fiberglass to the paper mache as well. But one interesting thing that I found out in doing this project is that this fiberglass bonds very well to the paper mache, and I was really impressed because I was kind of worried about how that was going to all play out, but it's worked really good. So after you've put your last layer of fiberglass on there, you've pushed your antlers and horns in there to make a nice recess. What you're going to want to do next is pre-drill your mask where you're going to attach it with screws, and also pre-drill your antlers or horns. Another product you can see already from the outside is I did add some Gorilla Glue into where I connected these in with the masks. Then I drilled a screw in the back to secure it. So these bad boys aren't going anywhere. I mean, you could sit there and bob your head up and down with these things and they're not going anywhere. And you guys can see it's pretty thick with just the 2 layers of the fiberglass and mesh tape. So I wouldn't recommend going with any more than that because, like I said, if you do, you'll have a huge weight issue on your mask. So hopefully this has given you guys some ideas that you can go out and use and make your own masks. If you thought that this was really cool, then let me know down in the comments below. Also, give me a thumbs up if you decide to make one of these for yourselves. Now, this is obviously not a finished mask. What I have plans on doing with it is leaving the whole bottom here the way it is, with that texturing that I got from the paper mache. I think I'll use like a brown paint with some antiquing methods to try to make it look like old leather. And then for the upper part here where all the fiberglass is, that's going to be covered in with some fur hides and stuff that I have kicking around here. So hit that subscribe button down below if you guys aren't already subscribed, to stay tuned for what this is going to look like when all's said and done. Alrighty folks, so that's all I have for you guys on tonight's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care and spend time with that family.